Hello, I'm Sheila Jones of Mrs Jones Passion in the Baking, and I'm going to teach you now to make my No Bake Choccy Cake. It is so easy, and again it's one of my mum's recipes which I have tweaked, and you can make this in about 10 minutes flat. It is going to need time to set and it will burn if you eat it too early, but just give it time to set and it's absolutely delicious. So I'm going to begin by mixing butter, 2 types of chocolate and some syrup. Very quickly, this is soft unsalted butter. We've got some dark chocolate here and we've got some milk chocolate. Now I happen to have these chocolate buttons already which we use in the kitchen regularly for ganache and all sorts of other types of baking. But you can use any type of chocolate that you can find in the supermarket, as long as this dark chocolate is about 70% cocoa. And any of their own make, or indeed you could use a cake covering for it. Just try and keep it cheap. And we're also going to add some syrup to all of this. So I'm going to put it all into the one bowl. Looks like it's quite a big bowl, but you don't actually need anything bigger than that. And then I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of syrup. In order that it'll fall out the pot here quite quickly, I just want to dip my spoon in hot water just to warm the spoon up, and then you'll see that it comes off quite quickly. So we're looking for 4 tablespoons. I actually usually buy my syrup in a tin, but this is the remnants of one that I had in the cupboard because actually buying it in a pot like this is more expensive than buying the tin. If you feel that it's not coming off the spoon quick enough, or indeed you're not getting all of it off, just put it into the bowl of the hot water. I think that's 3. I'm on to the 4th now. Doesn't matter if you forget, if you put too many in, because the chocolate will set. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this onto a bain-marie method. So the bain-marie method is over some boiling water. So the boiling water is on the stove. Make sure the handle's not in the way. You don't want to knock it over, and just pop it into the bowl. This is going to take about 5 minutes to melt all together. Just leave it, just let it go, and when it looks like it's all collapsing, that's when to stir it. I actually take a large skewer to it because I find I can beat the lumps a little bit better. So while the chocolate's melting, we can now crack on with all the other ingredients. I've got digestive biscuits here, or you could use rich tea, and I put them through the food processor. If you don't have one of them, what you can do is actually put them in a plastic bag, seal the end down, and then beat the living daylights out of it with a rolling pin. But just make sure you don't put too many biscuits in the bag all at once, because you could have them explode. So I've got them nice as breadcrumbs. Breadcrumb mixture. I don't get too upset if there are still little lumps in it, because I do think that's quite good for texture. I've got sultanas and raisins here, and what I've done with them is I've just run my fingers through them so that they are mixed in, but also that I've separated. You know, sometimes they come out a bag and they're a little bit clumpy. I don't bother putting putting flour in them to separate them, not for this type of cake, and I certainly don't look at washing them at this stage either. And I've got some glassy cherries here too. I just roughly chop them, so they're only chopped in 2, maybe 3 pieces, because I actually quite like, I like the flavour of cherries in baking. You can also add pecan nuts, any type of nuts that you like, and I'm not going to add them today because they're a little bit sweet for it. So I'm just going to pop everything into the bowl, and the cherries, excuse the clanging, that's why I lose glass bowls. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix that lot together. You don't have to do this, you can wait till your chocolate's melted, but I find that I can get all the fruit covered in the biscuit, and that way the chocolate is all soaked into it and you get a nice even bake. But don't feel that you have to do this. Okay, and I'll just check that our chocolate is ready. So this chocolate and butter and syrup mixture is melted. I've just taken the skewer to it just to check you haven't got any lumps of butter. It's funny how the chocolate melts before the butter, even in this heat. So I'm just going to turn this off. What you've got to make sure is that the water doesn't hit the chocolate, because it just goes all gritty. I'd still add it, but just be careful that it doesn't, that you don't add water to it. And I don't know why I did that, because I'm right-handed. I'm going to bring this over to my work surface here. Then I'm going to swap hands because I need to stir with the right. And then what I'm going to do, don't worry, you're going to get chocolate all over it, is I'm going to pour this into the bowl. Ooh, look at that. All in. And I like to scrape my bowl. I don't like seeing that, any waste. Let's pour that in. Now remember, it's already beginning to set, so you need to work quite fast. Just mix all that in as quickly as you can. And the digestive biscuits will absorb the chocolate. Sometimes I look at it and think, oh, maybe I should have added a little bit more digestive biscuit, and you'll get to know when you work with this recipe whether you should or not, because it may just set and it's just too gooey. Okay, so that's ready for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in this baking tin. This is just one of my favourites. It's about 11 inches by 7 inches. You don't need to grease it or line it. What you want to do is just, sorry, you don't need to grease it, but what you want to do is just put the paper lining in, and all will become apparent as to why I only do that. Just going to pour this in. Okay, so this feeds and serves a huge amount of people, and it's a hot favourite in our kitchen when the students are here. Although whatever cake we're making on the day that they're here, they will eat. That's it, just make sure the bowl is nice and clean. And then just push it out to the corners. And again, it will set, so you don't have to stand on any ceremony about getting it all perfectly straight. I'm just going to waste not, want not here. Take that off. And again, we're done. Now, I would let that set for about an hour. And actually, if you like it really hard, let it go quite cold and then maybe put it in the fridge till it is really set, because a lot of people, like my husband, likes it straight from the fridge. The reason I put it in the paper is, not that I'm lazy, is that I find that this never hangs around long enough, because we have lots of people coming through the house, we have students, family, you name it, and this is a real favourite from them to eat. So in that situation, if you make the paper big enough, then you can actually just store it like that. And very often, it never comes out the tray here. I've got quite a few of these. It never comes out the baking tray whatsoever, because you're just going to cut it. You know, we don't store it. So you just lift it out the tin, and then you can cut a slab off. And it's really easy. This one's not been in the fridge at all, but it's still quite sticky, but it's still tasty with its sultanas. Look, there's a chunk of biscuit that actually hasn't been absorbed, but that's lovely. Okay, enjoy.